Hey guys, get ready to live one of your greatest fears as we witness planes having to make emergency landings on highways and public streets. Something went horribly wrong in all these events, and the pilots had to expertly find and land on the nearest safe highway, which they did for the most part. And please help me out and give this video a like. Let's get going already. I don't know what was ahead on this highway in Ontario and Canada, but the pilot and instructor decided to land the plane that was having mechanical problems in a pretty tight spot between a bridge and a huge overhead road sign. The plane started having problems just a few minutes after taking off from the airport, but the pilot made a great decision to land right here, and the landing was perfect. The good thing is that the highway provided the bumpers like when you're playing bowling, and it kept the plane right on the road. Everybody got out safely and the plane had minimal damage to the wing. Howie Guidry had 20 years of experience under his belt, and this was the first time he experienced such dire engine problems as his plane started sputtering 1 hour after taking off and 2,000 feet up in the air. There was no chance that he would make it back to the airport, so he did as his training indicated, and he started looking for the biggest highway that he could find. He landed on Highway 3235 in Louisiana in the US. The guy recording the video was driving an unrelated truck on the highway and said that as soon as he landed, they passed under some power wires. Howie said that he could see the wires and he had to basically thread the needle in order to get a safe landing, which he did. He was on board with a mechanic as they were doing a certification test. I don't know if they passed that test or not. Tom Lupski was driving on Sunrise Highway on Long Island in the US when he witnessed a plane coming down to land right in front of him. He slowed down to give the plane space, and as soon as the plane landed, the cops were right there to pull him over and give him a ticket for flying down the highway. It was a rough landing as he started jumping and swerving a couple of times, but made it down safely.
What the fuck is going on right now? Holy shit. Holy shit.
Jim O'Donnell was the pilot, and he recognized that it wasn't very good, but he's here and nobody got hurt, and that's all that matters. This pilot also had to cut it close as he landed between two overpasses and went under one before being able to stop. It was a perfect, safe emergency landing. This landing was a little tougher as this guy had to land on a road, not a highway, and the landing was much rougher as the road was not buttery smooth in Washington in the US. David Ackman was the pilot who said that his engine quit in the air due to a fuel system error, and he was forced to make the landing right then and there. This was during morning rush hour, but the pilot was extremely lucky that there was a break in traffic long enough for him to land. Some motorists did say that the plane got really close to their car, and one even said that he felt like one of the wings went right over his car and thought that he was going to get hit. The cop who recorded this said that there is no training for this type of situation. Ali Fournier was flying over Quebec in Canada when his small Cessna airplane had engine problems, forcing him to find the nearest highway to land safely.
Good job, man. Good job.
He landed right on a bridge on the highway and just coasted down until he could pull off to the side. There were actually 4 people on board this plane, with 3 of them shitting their pants as they put all their trust in their pilots, who had no doubts that the landing would be done perfectly. It was a perfect landing, and they gave those people on the highway a good show and a story for the ages. This is a home-built plane down in Florida, and the plane kept having engine issues. They kept being able to turn the plane back on a couple of times, just enough to get able to get lined up on the road. I gotta say that the landing was perfect, and I thought that they were coming in a little bit too fast and were swinging side to side quite a bit, but that shows how much I don't know about planes, as he is able to make a buttery smooth landing. The parts where the plane would turn back on and off must be so hard. Like you're excited that it's back on, you think you're gonna survive and have a great story, but instead it dies again, and you end up having a story that trumps almost all stories at parties. Another plane had to make an emergency landing on a Tampa Bay road where traffic was starting to get heavy. A guy was able to capture the plane coming down at pretty fast speeds right over other cars, barely missing them.
Making an emergency landing. There it is, right there. It's coming in right there on Bruce B. Down.
The landing ended up being perfect as drivers were able to see the plane coming down, and they swerved to the sides to give it plenty of space to maneuver this dangerous landing. The Romanian Air Force was rehearsing some maneuvers for Air Force Day when a Black Hawk military helicopter belonging to the US military had mechanical issues and had to land in the middle of a street in central Bucharest. You can see the force and speed that the propellers have as they took down several traffic lights as they were going down the street. It also did a ton of damage to the trees. The helicopter landed safely and everybody was safe. Man, being in one of those cars right beneath it must be terrifying. You just don't expect to look in your rear view mirror and see a freaking military helicopter just stalking you. This is another small plane making an emergency landing on a Quebec highway up in Canada. But this one was a bit trickier as there was a ton of traffic and a huge overhead road sign coming up really fast as the plane landed in between the two signs and maneuvered right between the cars. He was like thinking, if I drive straight enough and pretend to be a car, nobody's gonna notice.
Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Unfortunately, everybody knew, but the plane was removed quickly and traffic was able to resume extremely fast, considering a plane just landed on the freaking highway. This has to be number one, since the emergency was much more severe as it happened at night and the pilot had to make the landing immediately. It was so fast that he landed between two sets of cars, driving down the highway, cutting off one group. The plane landed with so much speed that it crashed into the car driving ahead of him and started swerving with the car. Luckily, nobody was hurt and it was all just material damage. One of the cars behind the plane probably thought that it was a car trying to pass him when he heard the loud noise coming up behind him really fast. But as soon as he saw the plane, he smashed on those brakes to give it space to land. I don't know if small planes are safer or not than the big jetliners, but they feel scarier to me, and I'm probably never gonna get on one. You must just feel every single little movement so much more. Thanks for watching this video. See you next time.